This is an excerpt from a novel I've been working on. It's called Basic Analysis, and this is the introduction to the novel. It is very, very, very difficult to find a place in the small city of Westham where one cannot see, on even a moderately dismal night, the languid red flashing at the summit of Clicket Hill. From downtown, ever-moving, to South Campus, the Marina District, the quiet suburbs of Parkland, elegant Georgia and Peabody, the watchful gaze is ever present, and known by many of the older students as the red eye. Through bathroom windows lined with crumbling paint, on moss-matted rooftops and damp, overgrown backyards, this single point, which oscillates in its luminosity, is one of the few constants in a town whose residents reliably flow in and out with the seasons, which come and go with the years. Far up the side of Clicket Hill, above the city sleeping in the dust of this September night, still pleasant with the last memories of summer, we find a tortured soul crying out in the midst of a chemical agony. Edwin Cross sits at his wobbling wooden desk, beneath a bare bulb and with a heavy grit-bitten typewriter before him. His head swirls mad. Recently the noise has been growing worse beside the sanguine summer heat. He's taken up a little over word by the $30 a month he will have to part with to have somewhere to work and sleep. It is well back in the property of a half-blind old Navy man who, when he even spoke, answers Edwin in monosyllabic responses around a weeping wad of red man. The doors here hardly even seal, and are poor guards against the wind outside, soon to become bitter cold. The walls of the shack are mostly bare pine slats, covered at unusual angles with odd stains and smears. A mattress stacked on a box spring lies in the corner at an awkward angle. One long end of this stack forms the hypotenuse of a triangle with two walls. Not that the mattress is used much. Edwin falls asleep at the desk, curled on the floor, in the park in the afternoon. He is beginning to grow thin from a lack of available food. Not that he is hungry often anyways. It hardly helps that he goes on walks in Westham's pre-dawn rush, along the vacant suburbs. Great marathon wanderings in the silent streets right as the sun is rising, 5 or 5:30. Gazing in windows, the dew brushing against his pant legs, muttering to himself. He never gets tired on these walks, and if he finds himself lost, he just keeps walking until familiar landmarks appear. Edwin is about to start his graduate studies in mathematics. During the 4 of his undergraduate, he was an outstanding, if odd. He was appreciated by some of his professors, loved even by a few. His startling ability to approach problems from unusual angles, his repository of esoteric knowledge and non sequitur, set him apart from the crowd. Many of the instructors, and even some that liked him, found him unsettling, forced to be wary of. Professors cringed at his name during those few first days of each semester. The way he stares without any outward sign of comprehension or empathy when talked to. How, when under question, Edwin would predictably answer in the most roundabout way possible. And yet even as a rambler, he always provided a gem of insight, a nugget of unusual understanding. Edwin's preferred spot in class is always front row, dead center. Up there he is always seen and smelled. His full denim uniform worn summer and winter displays a constant memory of stale sweat and smoke. Here he is now, banging madly away, jammed keys be damned, forcing out a treatise on Masons, the coming apocalypse, and how the owner automotive, who Edwin is convinced is the head of a satanic child sex ring, has implanted cursed skulls into his abdomen, which cause Edwin to slur his words and lose his hair. He's been like this before, briefly, though each time he has eventually come around. Each episode, manic and deluded, seems like a stress dream after the fact. Over the first few weeks of lucidity, he burns his paper mountains and regains contact with friends. The spinning world fades off into a memory, leaving little more than a bad taste and mild confusion. These sort of patterns run in his family and are hardly even remarked upon, let alone considered unusual. Through the forest now and down the hill, along a row of two-story houses, collapse. Red and blue streaks passed on the ground, signifying empty beer cans, the lesser order casualties of a college neighborhood. In a glittering splash, we find a liquor bottle smashed against the ground during a drunken rage. Before us now is a pine green house, which is in most ways similar to the houses around it, with windows covered in ash-stained tapestries and repurposed sheets folded double. Within the scene is one of high gravity, a living room, beer cans scattered everywhere.